You can go ahead and say Allison, that's fine.
Okay. And how old are you?
I am 49,
Okay. And where are you from?
California.
Okay. And how long have you been out here?
I've been in Arizona half my life, Tucson about on and off for about 10 years.
Okay.
This time around 3 years.
Okay. And you say you're not living on the streets? You're staying with someone?
On and off, living between places, on the streets, in motels for 2 years, October 1st.
Okay.
Since October 1st of 2023.
Oh, okay.
So it's been 2 years since the Ocotillo closed,
Okay.
which is where I was.
So you stated you're a working girl
Yes.
to survive, basically?
So yes, whatever we can do to hustle on the streets is pretty much what we can put on the table.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of medical work. I used to work at a free clinic. I was not a medical staff member. I was a grant writer. But just being in that organization, obviously, I learned a lot. And so your basic, bruises and maybe slips, falls, whatever it might be, I tend to be the person that can help you out here. So I carry bandages, I carry first aid equipment, and now with all the overdoses and things like that, carrying Narcan is essential for what I do. So my days usually get interrupted by a lot of things like that. That'll just come up instantly.
100%.
That somebody needs treatment or something, and they won't go to the hospital, or they can't. They're too sick, or they're afraid.
They're just walking around with like open wounds. It's
Open
small.
wounds, absolutely.
I've seen a bunch. I've interviewed a bunch.
Absolutely, and there's nothing more dangerous than having having the spread of a community disease. That's like the last thing we need. So as much as I can, if I can take that down a notch, if I can do anything to prevent that from happening,
Yeah.
I'm certainly gonna do the best I can.
Okay. So why resort to this type of work?
So I relapsed probably about after maybe 23, 24 years of sobriety. It wasn't necessarily one incident. It was probably a number of incidents that kind of built up. But financially, I got wiped out, and my identity got stolen, and I just I lost everything. Lost my money. Lost my vehicle. It was at that time that I went to go because I could volunteer. I thought if I volunteer, I'll get a job. And so I took a volunteer job at the Ocotillo, and I fell in love with a guy there and ended up being able to stay there, live and work. And they took care of our food and our stay, so that was all well and good until the hammer dropped and they gave us a few days. They were condemning the motel. The program was completely in shambles. There was absolutely no program. Actually, that's what happened. There was a scam. It was the Medicaid scan, and that affected the 250 people that occupied and were enrolled in that program.
Yeah.
Their main scam was to enroll people in a Native American insurance plan, which goes pretty undetected, and there's not a lot of red tape. There's not a lot of bureaucrats looking at that. Part of the Medicaid supplement plan.
Yeah.
And so it was an easy way for people to get money that were trying to do that. And so one person would leave or be kicked out of the program, and they would never stop billing. That's essentially, and it was $7,000 per person for 6 months, to give you an idea. Mm-hmm. Plus there was a per diem and everything else. So we were really highly affected by that. A lot of people were relapsing just to find out that there was no program that they were enrolling in. So left and right, people are dropping like flies. I mean, they go to seek help, and here's this scam, and they're completely blindsided.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then they go and they condemn the building on top of it.
And you were working there, right?
And I was working as a volunteer there.
And the guy
I used my car. I used my Jeep as a taxi, and I would drive people around, medical appointments, things like that. And then my boyfriend also knew CPR and things like that. So
he was a client, right? The guy.
He was, yes.
Okay.
And so they asked me to enroll in the Native American or American and Native insurance, and I declined. I was kicked out of the program because of that. I refused to leave, so I had to sneak in and out, which was awful. Wow. And the addictions were just getting worse and worse. Everything was snowballing. There was no regulation. There was nobody looking, and everyone was addicted, and it was everywhere. Hallways, the hallways were just filled with smoke, and it was a free for all. For lack of,
Yeah.
it was just it was everything that you just
Unorganized.
the opposite of what it should have been.
Straight. That's a good way to put it.
I mean,
That's a good way to put it.
I was trying to compare it to something else, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just
It's like a halfway house.
it was
with no
supposed to
rules.
be a treatment plan for 6 months, and then they were going to get you long-term housing in maybe another sober home if that's what you graduated into, or if you were well enough to be on your own. But certainly they were going to help with employment.
Yeah.
But the sobriety was the key. That was like, you have to keep that in place.
Okay.
So when that just all fell apart, everybody ended up on the street. We did everything we could to get tents, sleeping bags, food. We used all of our own food stamp cards to feed all of us. Whoever had a card would feed the group that night. I have a very good friend who did he put up a lot of the tents. He kept a lot of the order, but here we are, a group of people living on the streets. We're all arguing. None of us get along. We don't really know each other. We're just all in the same situation.
Okay.
And that's the only thing we had in common.
Okay.
So, and we're all talking all walks of life, as you can see.
So
I'm
how
not
do you-
from South Tucson. This is just where I ended up when my identity was stolen. That was the cheap motel to stay in, and then that program went in, and it was a free way to get rent, and it just that's where it went from there.
Yeah.
So-
And the person you're staying with now, you don't gotta say who they are, but is it like someone you met out here while working, or like a?
Oh no, it's just
family friend,
it's a friend of a friend, and I have to pay him a certain amount every day, and that can come in any form, depending on what he needs. Every single one of my friends that I know are, for the most part, are addicted. That's in some way or another, one shape or another, one form or another, I should say, rather. And so that's just our situation. The housing is absolutely critical. There is no housing. There is no program. There's 500 programs listed, and not one of them actually gives you housing. They're either a referral system or they are a place that you can get resources, but they are not an actual housing authority of any kind. And the voucher system is still in play. I think that is done by a lottery.
And it's
I've been on the list for 2.5 years, and it is not getting. I'm not getting any closer. I have had to even though my life has been endangered a number of times, abusive relationships, whether it's friends or other personal relationships, that still doesn't get me to the top of the list. The only thing that and it's primarily because I do have a dog that I take care of. Didn't intend on that. She just found me, but I took her from an addicted woman that asked me if I could care for her. I manage my addiction fairly well, so although I'm extremely impacted, I have a way of at least keeping work, and as my life was somewhat private until now. So
are you? I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you forced to be out here to work?
No, I wouldn't say forced, but because my identity has been compromised, I don't have a way of getting a job legitimately right now. There are 3 people using my social security number. There are 3 people getting paychecks and using my social security number as a tax ID. I cannot legally work.
Yeah.
I certainly can ask for a job under the table, but I don't think that's going to be. I can't even get an ID. Everything gets stolen. Everything goes missing. I've had the government phones that they dole out, the Vortex being, I guess, probably the primary maker of them. I had 12 of them registered in my name in 1 year because I didn't even make it home from the bus stop one time. It's they didn't even last that long from the phone tent. So
Wow.
everything, people just sell those for $10, to get dope or whatever they might need. Food, it could be anything, but it is a form of currency. So everything's a form of currency. That if you have something that somebody else wants, it's up for grabs. If they can't take it, they're going to forcefully take it from you.
Yeah.
Or you're going to willingly give it to them. But that's just
Check the light
part of
real
the.
quick. Make sure
That's part of the.
Could I adjust your mic real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just need to make sure the light's on.
I could give you about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, straight up. So,
I mean, I know we want to probably focus a lot on the working out here. I like to deter from that a little bit because that's just what anybody else to do. You have
Straight
to.
up.
You have a job. Right? Just because it's some guy's the dishwasher, we're not going to just focus on that. What is he about? What does he do other than that? And I'm telling you that I spend more time taking care of people out here on the street in so many different ways, and them taking care of me. But a lot of times it's just emotional support. I met a woman last week who had just had a had just had a cesarean. She had just had she had lost her baby, stillborn, but they did a cesarean. They released her from the hospital within 24 hours. She was bleeding out of her stomach when she got off the bus. She was sick because she had been on methadone, and they would not give that to her in the hospital, which is why she left.
Absolutely.
And it was a horrible situation. And all she wanted was her mom, and her mom was dead. And so all I could do is just hug this woman and help her to get to the next bus stop. And that is everybody's situation at all times. That's how critical it is. So the help with housing is, I can't not stress it enough.
Yeah.
There are plots of land everywhere. And then the biggest thing right now is the police harassment. It's unfounded, it's illegal, it is abusive. They're abusing their power. They're harassing people to the point they're driving people mentally insane. Every 15 minutes, they will harass a group of people, the same group of people, throughout their whole entire shift. They will not allow them to sit at a bus stop, allow them to sit on a curb, cross a parking lot. They consider that all trespassing and will write tickets all day long for trespassing, which causes that person not to be able to get to court because they don't have a calendar or a phone to keep track of that. And so they miss their court date. Now they have a warrant. There are people that have 25 trespassing tickets just because they have nowhere to go. They can't go to the wash. They can't go to the woods. They can't go to the alley. They can't stay on somebody's private land. There is nowhere to go.
Are they saying
and they have not given any, there's no answer for that.
Are they saying where you could go, or
absolutely
they're
not.
just saying move?
You just have to keep moving. You are not allowed to sit. Keep moving. So imagine how tired somebody is. How are they supposed to get a job?
Tired, hungry.
They're tired, they're hungry.
Fatigued,
there is no
thirsty.
The food insecurity is a whole other issue, but now with food city closing down in this neighborhood, there's again not another source of food for people, and we don't have. There are soup kitchens and things like that, but they are not right there. People have to walk, and they're sick. You know what their legs look like from their open wounds, and the medical care. Lack of education, fear of the police, no housing. I mean, all of this insecurity, instability, and then the police harassment on top of it. And they are beating people. They are arresting people. There are so many people that are so damaged because of this. And this is their life. This is how they always view the police. There are no community officers out here. There will never be anybody that views anybody that way that is wearing a badge because of the treatment that they've gotten out here. And some of these kids are young. Some of these people are old. I'm not saying I'm that young. I'm in shape, so I'm okay.
Yeah, you're in really good physical condition.
But a person that's at my average age does not look well. I work at it though, and it's because I have to walk 16 miles a day. That's on average. I walk between 16 and 20 miles a day, just to get everything I need because I don't have a vehicle anymore. Because somebody put it in their name when they stole it.
And real quick, what's your family situation? Do you have any family you miss?
I just lost my father this year. I was unable to go to his funeral, partially because it was out of reach for me. There was a plane ticket that was available, but my family decided that they did not want to include me. That was very, very hard to deal with. I grew up in a normal family. Got a younger brother and sister, very successful. My parents had wonderful careers. My mother was a great homemaker, and then she had another career after we got out of the house. And but they came onto hard times as well. And my mother has helped me secretly, I think, throughout this whole entire time, getting rooms when she could help me.
Sure.
But they were not in a financial place to help me any longer. They don't probably know where I am.
Okay.
Usually if I'm stopped by the police or harassed by the police, they will tell me that I'm on a missing persons list because I'm unable to keep up with, I can't find it. There's no way I can even get to my email.
If they reach out to me, asking where you are or anything about you? Do you want, and I can confirm who it is?
I've been in the same place for a long time.
They know where
They
to
should
find
know
you?
the neighborhood that I'm
Okay.
in.
I
Absolutely.
get a ton of
My brother
emails.
has a house here in Tucson.
Okay.
I came out here to help him find a house as a secondary income to his Airbnb business, and
Sure.
we built that together. And
Yeah.
it was through that process that a lot of this old behavior came up. The one thing I certainly can tell you is that needs to really stop is if everyone could really just start working a lot more together, and separate themselves from, just get rid of all this nasty, the stealing is really bad, but just learning how to,
Yeah.
we're all in this together. So the more voices we have, the more educated we can be, the more knowledge.
Straight up.
And just like, I can't tell these people to march down there. I'm,
So all we
not,
have-
I don't look like everybody out here. So
Yeah, yeah.
there for that, and I do.
So
But I have the
last-
voice and I have the education and I certainly have the activism in my past. I am currently an activist.
It's a beautiful
I will
thing.
always be an activist, and I will always fight whether they want me to or not. It's like unsolicited advice, and I'm still,
Yeah.
it's like,
So one last question.
absolutely.
If you didn't have your habit, or
Mm-hmm.
are you on beans, G, or?
I mean, you pretty much, I run the gamut. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you didn't have your habit, do you think you'd still be out here doing this type of work?
Absolutely. There's 100%. I was doing this when I did get clean. I stayed clean for like 2 or 3 months. I was out here in the same situation without the dope being an issue.
Okay.
I still couldn't find the housing. It was taking it's a full-time job just to keep up with that paperwork and even to find the where you need to be.
Yeah.
You don't just go take a ticket and wait in line.
Yeah.
And I do want to make one thing very clear.
Yeah.
When the people that were part of the Ocotillo group at that motel that were in this program were automatically removed from the housing list from Section 8 immediately. Their health care was put in jeopardy because that was considered that was considered a violation on their part, so therefore fraud. And they were to blame in some cases. So there are people out here that cannot get Medicaid. There are people out here that will not see housing. So this is all they will ever see.
Do you think
And we are
that-
being forced from our home every moment by the police. And with development,
Yeah.
they have taken out all the trees. They have put in place rocks and cactus so that we have no place. We have no shade at the bus stops anymore. All that does is drive the heat up. And everybody knows you plant more trees, you get more shade, it brings the temperature down. Obviously, we should be following those practices in 2025, but they're removing all of the landscaping so that they do not have to deal with homeless people in front of businesses or at bus stops, which might be 10% of the problem. And for the rest of the 90% have to just sweat it out on their way to work. So, it's unforgiving.
Real quick,
So-
if you could have one wish for yourself right now, what would it be? Last question, right there.
I would get everyone that came with me on these streets off these streets. We'd all go together,
Just housed.
just housed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. You're awesome.
All right.
You're super smart. I'm glad you know where the resources are.
Yeah.
And
I do this all day.
I'm glad I met you. Thank you.